Good evening, everybody. One of my fondest memories as a child was watching my father work on Saturdays. I remember watching him as he skillfully sawed and nailed pieces of wood in the creation of his masterpieces. As a daddy's girl, I remember thinking that one day it would have been me looking all strong as I mixed concrete. But as I said, they're all just fond memories. At the age of 6, after something as simple as falling off a bicycle, I lost my sight. I was told that there's a possibility that I would never be able to see those things again. I remember the sobs of my mother. I remember the pain felt as my friends and family grew more and more distant. Now I understand the reason. For years, this society has been brainwashed to think that having a disability is a bad thing. And as a result, we have been condemned. We have been locked at home so that no one would know of our existence. We have been conditioned to keep silent about our disabilities so that somehow we be accepted into society. We have been segregated from society, placed in special schools which neglect to offer us the crucial services that will give us an equal chance at the job market. I was placed in the latter category. I became a student of Irv Wilson School, the school for the deaf and the blind, where I was taught braille and basically how to be a blind person. But apparently, being blind in this society automatically makes you less of a person. Soon, we found out that the school, which had approximately 70 students at a time, was categorized as a primary school, where students would be enrolled from 3 to 18. Then they would leave having obtained no CSCs, no qualifications, no certification. This especially disturbed my mother. Who was the system to tell her who her daughter was or would become? She petitioned everybody she knew that had a chance of giving me a normal life, but it initially fell on deaf ears of the politicians, the Ministry of Education, until one day the principal at school next door, the Combermere School, allowed me to sit in certain classes that would allow me to do common entrance examination. That gave birth to the negativity. Negativity knocked me from every area, from every corner. Disabled community, family, friends, teachers, chanting in my ears. You know you're wasting your time? You know you will never get that, do? If only I knew that 7 years later, I would have become the valedictorian of the Barbados Community College. If only I knew that I would have gained a Barbados Exhibition. If only I knew that I would have been here today delivering this talk. If I was a better and got $1 for each criticism, I could have been rich today. But I needed the negativity. I needed the criticism. It gave me strength. I needed the strength for the fight ahead. Although I was told that the teachers that were interacting with me were trained, and they did show for some of them, I was the victim of the increasingly evident obsolescence found in the educational system. Just for a moment, close your eyes. Imagine that you're in a classroom. The teacher is writing on the board, and all you can hear is, you need to do this, not that. Because if you do this one, you will get that, and you don't want that. You know that's how Bajans talk too. You politely ask the teacher to explain what's going on because you can't see the board, and the teacher deliberately ignored you. I can't go on and on right now about the numerous nights my brother and my father had to stay up late with me to the wee hours in the morning, reading to me, while I prepared for class the next day. I could talk about the times my father had to make props so that I can hold them, just so I can make some sense of the confusion being taught at school. And then people will look at me and tell me the only way a blind person could be successful is to get special treatment. This brings me to the next stumbling block in our society, the lack of resources. Upon entering secondary school, I was blessed to be presented with several pieces of equipment thanks to Barbados Children's Trust. And for that, I'm grateful. However, shortly after, due to a combination of the teachers not knowing how to use the equipment and some equipment refusing to work, I was placed back at square one. I can go on and on now about the pain, the emotional roller coasters, and don't get me started on the numerous promises broken by politicians. But I would like to pay a little attention to the silver linings among my clouds. There were some teachers who did their best to make sure I had equal chance at success. I remember some teachers would bring props to school so I could follow in class. One teacher even used the spike of a compass to draw on Bristol board and cardboard so I could feel the graphs and the lines and follow what he was doing. I even had a, yeah, you can clap for that. I even had a teacher who made my day when she made diagrams out of materials such as rice and cotton and stick it on Bristol board so I could feel the diagrams. And she even learned a bit of braille so she could do the titles for me. Including the disabled in our society goes way beyond parking spots and accessible bathrooms. We need to start at the primary, the nursery school level to make sure that the necessary human and physical resources are in place to aid in the development of our young disabled children. It is my belief that teachers should acquire some level of special education or sensitivity training before entering the classrooms, not only to prepare them to deal with disabled children, but to sensitize them to the different abilities, behaviors, and even the different learning styles of the children, so they will know it doesn't make them less of people. We need to take a look at our educational system and gear it towards more creativity in the classrooms. We need to be cognizant of the fact that students learn in different ways, and we cannot place such strong emphasis on visual learning. Long before I was born, former President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, famously said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." I say now to everyone who can hear me, tear down the poles. As we travel around our beautiful country, we would find brand new sidewalks with ramp access for the disabled. However, many of these sidewalks have utility poles in them, which act as a physical obstacle on what should have been a relatively accessible and easy path. Let us tear down the figurative poles in our minds that are stopping us from taking this country where it needs to go. For our 50th year of independence, let us create an environment where we can have independent-minded people who can have a dream and can act on that dream without anything stopping them. For 16 years, I've been fighting the system. And even though I don't have the muscles from mixing concrete that I wanted as a child, I have the strength of my father. I have the persistence of my mother. And I will not stop fighting. I want to see the day where the media doesn't see the need to feature a disabled person excelling. I want to see the day where academic success is the norm and not the exception. For our 50th year of independence, let us turn a new page. Thank you.